So this is the teddy bear head from my Sweetheart teddy bear pattern. I'm going to show you today how to needle sculpt the eyes in to make them look a little cuddlier, and then needle sculpt the nose down a little bit so that it just looks a little cuter. So in essence, what we're going to do is be pushing them down. But the way we have to do that is taking a long tail from the back, or if you made a short tail and you've already finished off the back, you can use a new needle and yarn. I would use a yarn that's the same color as the plushie to make it a little more undetectable. But you could do it. You just have to, pay attention to the tail of that thread. So what I'm going to do here is my tail ends here. So I'm going to go ahead and thread it through the bottom of the plushie. So right here. This part is going to be sewn onto the body, so you're not going to see any pressure that it creates, and you'll understand what I mean by that in a minute. So next you're going to take this needle and you're going to put it in next to the stitch you came out of. It doesn't really matter where exactly, as long as it's not like up here where the nose is. As long as it's down here where the head will be sewn onto the body or near it, you'll be fine. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your needle and thread, and you're going to find a stitch beside where you pulled, your yarn came out of, and you're going to push it into, and you're going to push it out right here on the side of this eye. See what I'm doing here? So you got to find it. There we go. There's my needle. I'm going to pull it out. Then I'm going to go right around here. So this piece of yarn is going to go around the eye, and I'm going to put my needle back in right here beside the eye, on the inside of the eye. Then I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle back through the head and out in the similar spot that the yarn came from originally. It doesn't need to be exact, but you don't want it to be out here where people can see the pressure it creates. Now, when you pull this tight, you're going to see that it might not sit where you want it to. So you're going to bring it down, and you're going to pull a little snugly. Now, you have to be careful, especially with this kind of yarn. I'm using Parfait Chunky. It could snap. So we don't want to put too much pressure on it. And honestly, you might have to do this a couple times, but already we have a slightly more indented eye. Can you see the difference? Now, I'm going to go ahead and do that again because I stuffed this bear pretty sturdy, or I stuffed it pretty well, and I don't want to put too much pressure on this tail or I'm going to lose it. And if you lose it, that's okay. That's why we finish off the piece before we start using the tail. So I'm going to go in again. I'm going in from the bottom of the head and out the side of the eye. I'm going to pull that tight. So this is the pressure I'm talking about. You're going to see some indentation from pulling, which is what we're doing under the eye as well. But you don't want to see that where you're not trying to create it. So you're going to go back through the same place in the eye. And this time we're going to go to the other side, to the other eye, right across. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to pull this yarn tight. It's going to sit in the center. We're going to pull it down a little bit, and then we're going to pull snugly. Okay, so now we have a very indented eye. You see how it's pulled in versus this eye, which is not pulled in and now looks really, really concerning. So now we're going to do it to the other eye. We're already here. Now, if you went through the back of or to the bottom of the head, that's okay. But you're going to come out this part of the eye, right beside this eye, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to come around it. You're going to pull out the bottom of the head. Make sure if you're doing slightly different places in the bottom of the head that it's at least symmetrical. Like you're going to make it symmetrical in the end so it doesn't start to warp the piece. So we're going to pull that snug. Like I said, not too snug because this yarn is a little bit of a weak yarn sometimes. We're going to do it again. just to give it some sturdiness. Sometimes we have to fish for that needle. There we go. And I'm using a plastic needle that is not sharp, so I don't have to worry about stabbing myself. Alright, so I'm going to pull that a little bit tensioned. And now I'm pretty much even. I am going to go back through it one more time. At the bottom, sorry. Not the back, the bottom. You would be able to see the tension being pulled at the back of the head, and we don't want that. Alright, so I'm going to do it one more time. Pull it down. And pull it snug. And now you just have to use your own judgment on how tight to do it. If you wanted it to be even tighter, you could come up here through the eye to the top of the eye and get a little closer to the side of the eye and go up and around and then go down. That can make it a little snugger. If you don't want to make it super snug, you can create eyebrows or eyelids, sorry. If you leave it a little bit loose, you can make eyelids, or you can pull it tighter, hide it behind the eye, and just make a even more pulled in eye. So since I did it to that side, I'm going to go ahead and do it to this side. I'm going to find the inside of the eye right here. I'm going to pull it tight. I'm going to put it back in over here. See? I'm going to pull it out. And since I'm running out of yarn, I'm going to go ahead and put it, I guess I'm going to pull down to the bottom of the face one more time because I don't have a good angle to pull it to my next spot. So I'm going to pull that up. See how it could be an eyelid if you were to just make a couple stitches across instead of making it tight and pulling it behind the eye. But now we've pulled it behind the eye. It's nice and tight. It's very cute, but it's not quite finished. I ran out of yarn. There's not enough to make this nose very nicely, so I'm going to trim that off, sew that in, and trim that off in a second. But now we're going to pull this nose down just a little bit. You can't really see it very well, but I'm going to take my needle, pull it through this spot. It's going to come out this spot. It's going to make a stitch over here and go back in. And we're going to pull that down, creating more of a nose for this bear. So I'm going to just find a spot on the bottom of the head. I'm going to find a hole, this hole in particular. This one's a little more exact because we're trying to do something with the exact nose. I'm going to leave a little bit of tail so I don't lose this this yarn completely. I'm going to go across right here. So see what we're doing here? We're going to go back out the bottom of the head. Pull tight. And when we pull tight, we're going to have to hold on to this tail as well. So now would be a good time to just hold it as you pull on the nose. And now we have a little bit of a nose made without having to sew on a separate piece. So I really like that. I think it came out really good. I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time, just for a little bit of security, since this yarn we've already established is sometimes a little bit weak. I'm going to hold make sure my tail's out on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and go through it one more time. We don't need to see the stitch. We just need to see that it's doing its job. It's pulling that head. Try to orient you guys a little bit. And now it's got this cute little face on it. Now you could leave that off. You could. I do this to almost all my plushies. I do this because I think it makes a lot more character than before, where the eye was kind of bulging. You just gotta trust the process with my patterns, because sometimes the faces look a little undone, and they are until you do some facial sculpting. I really like the way this came out. I hope that this was easy. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can leave them in the comments of this video, or you can message me on my my email, which is outofthebarncrochetcreations@gmail.com, or reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. So yeah, I hope this was an okay tutorial for you, and have a great day. See you later.